Hey, I'm Scott Miller. This is Sheep Guarding Llama, October 20th, 2019. And today, pretty exciting day, actually. So Sunday, we started off pretty calm day. I did some work in the morning, hung out with the kids a little bit, and went in the early afternoon, kind of mid-afternoon. I got a little bit busy, had some work stuff come up, so I ended up not being able to go swim until almost 3. So my morning was decently busy, nothing crazy. Got out, went swimming, got there at 3. Went swimming, got in 1,000 yards just barely before, because the pool closes at 4. Got out because I have to shower and everything. Got out, grabbed an Impossible Whopper on the way home. Got back to the house. Did a little bit more work stuff, but not too much. Got a couple hours in. It was a good day. And then in the evening, the girls wanted to hang out and play video games again. So we had just finished the night before Nancy Drew Trail of the Twister, and then we started back into Alibi Ashes, which we had actually started a while ago, but it didn't like really grip us. We had started playing with her cousins. It's a different format than some of the other Nancy Drews, and it just didn't really hook us in. One of the mistakes I think they make with those games is they like change just a bit too much so that you can't like jump right into the game and get like into it again. And I think that's a mistake, because when we do the Nancy Drews and they follow the gameplay formula, not the story or whatever, but the gameplay formula, it only takes us a second and we are in the game. We know what we're doing and we are ready to play and we're into it. When the Alibi and Ashes, Nancy's in jail, and there's a whole bunch of mechanics of like how to switch one account to another, and that means that there's Chana, and that means it took us a while to get used to how to play. Here, we're talking about Alibi and Ashes. And so how did you like Alibi and Ashes?
What do you mean?
In the latest Nancy Drew that we finished last night, how do you think it was?
I think it was great.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. How do you compare it to some of the others? Like, was it better than Trail of the Twister?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it was newer, so it had some advantages there. But Trail of the Twister was pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it took us a while because you have to keep playing as other characters, and the mechanics of figuring out how to play as other characters, it takes time and mental overhead anyway. So, but we got into it, we were doing well, and while we were playing, suddenly we got a really serious thunderstorm and a tornado watch. So we went from a calm, warm day to like this really heavy rain and all this wind. And it's funny that we got a tornado watch the day after we finished Trail of the Twister. So we were playing, and then all of a sudden we heard the sirens go off, so we had to shelter in place, and the girls got into the guest bathroom and hunkered down, and we had our lights on the outside of the house shorting out because of the amount of wind. It turns out we actually had a really big tornado. It came down in Dallas, worked its way up. It just missed us, but it came through the edge of Farmers Branch, went up through Richardson, so it went all around us. All the towns around us were on alert all night. The next morning, so on the 21st, we saw on the news tons of damage. Home Depot destroyed, whole neighborhoods destroyed, boards driven through cars. We haven't heard the extent of the damage, and we've not yet heard how strong the tornado was, but it was a pretty big one, and we set the record for the biggest in Dallas since 1969. They don't typically hit the city itself, so this is a really big deal that it came through such a heavily populated area. So it made for quite the adventure of the evening, because that happened. We got the initial alert pretty early on, like 9-10 o'clock, or maybe even earlier, and then the storm really got strong between 10 and 11, and we were under tornado watch for several hours in there. I'm not sure of the exact times, but it was still at 1 o'clock in the morning. It was still very, very heavy rain. We did lose power, but only briefly, so we were able to keep video gaming, and we finished Alibi and Ashes by about 1 o'clock in the morning. So wrap that up. But that made for our very exciting evening. The rest of the day, it was kind of like, oh, whatever. It was just kind of a normal Sunday without a lot going on. But having an actual really large tornado cut through the neighborhood and do a bunch of damage definitely makes for a memorable day. So today is going to be a day that the kids are going to remember long into the future. They always tell the story of long ago, and I'd have to look it up. I have no idea how many years ago it was that we had to shelter in place because we had a tornado a couple blocks south of us, but a much smaller one coming down Trinity Mills. It was closer but very tiny, and they talk about that with some regularity. So this one should really stick in their memories because they're both so much older and it was so much more dramatic. Yeah, so that was our exciting day. Tornadoes here in Dallas. Thanks for joining me on Cheap Guarding Llama. Talk to you tomorrow.